Ex-Pentagon agent claims that UFOs changed a witness's brain and unlocked his sixth sense. The reality of the UAP phenomenon is larger than just non-human crafts flying with incredible speed in the air and water. Reportedly, there are incidents where UFOs were noticed interacting with the nuclear arsenal of the United States, shutting down nuclear missiles. It's well acknowledged at the U.S. Defense Department that whatever this phenomenon is, it's a serious concern to national security. Moreover, instead of disabling nukes, UFOs have severely affected the witnesses biologically and physically. Award-winning journalist Linda Moulton Howe held a special interview with former ATIP head Louis Elizondo on surpassing 200,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel. She asked Elizondo audacious questions regarding the phenomenon and its effect on the human body. Elizondo briefed on the previously known facts that UFOs interfered with electronic and nuclear systems and that there are unique physical effects for witnesses after close encounters. First of all, not going into depth due to protocols, Elizondo revealed that an alleged incident happened in the 1970s where UFOs knocked an entire nuclear power aircraft carrier offline for some time. This revelation was made in talks where Elizondo outlined why the world's governments have been so secretive about these objects and why they consider them a potential security threat. Secondly, the UFO impacted the consciousness of the individual. In 2021, Stanford professor said in an interview with Motherboard, some of their UFO contactee brains were horribly damaged. He was approached by a CIA-led group that showed him MRI scans of the people injured by the fields generated by UAPs, or we call UFOs, and the presence of brain trauma was evident. It's been reported that some pilots and others who had close encounters with UFOs experienced radiation burns and negative mental damage. However, Elizondo told Linda Howe that he was equally astonished by seeing certain instances where exposed individuals experienced good side effects after coming into touch with these UFOs. He said there's also some preliminary data to suggest that some individuals actually report the opposite. So rather than having some sort of negative biological consequence, all of a sudden you have somebody who's now, for example, a piano virtuoso, who's never sat in front of a piano before, or who now becomes suddenly super artistic, or who claims to have some sort of extrasensory capabilities, or talents now, if you will, or a sixth sense. Linda Howe discussed a highly classified report from the year 2000 produced by the UK Air Defence that noted down the serious biological impact of UAPs on humans. The well-reported Rendlesham Forest Bentwaters event is an example where it might be postulated that several observers were probably exposed to UAP radiation for longer than normal UAP sighting periods. There may be other cases that remain unreported. It's clear that the recipients of these effects are not aware that their behavior and perception of what they are observing is being modified. The E field strengths, which are known to affect the brain, are of the order 50 multivolts per centimeter at between 1 and 100 megahertz, and the experiments have shown that effects can be produced at levels of 10 to the 7th power to 10 to the 8 volts per centimeter. It's concluded, therefore, that if some UAPs, as is believed and correlated by actual reports, collateral effects on, for example, car electrical equipment, produce electromagnetic radiation, then there is a high probability that they can affect the human brain. The ATIP report, which the Sun obtained from the Defense Intelligence Agency DIA as part of a sizable Freedom of Information request, looks into the effects of paranormal experiences on people's health. According to interviews in this Pentagon report from 2010, UFOs sightings have left witnesses with radiation burns, mental damage, and felt time suspension. It compiled 42 cases of adverse effects from medical files and 300 from unpublished cases. The study is titled Anomalous Acute and Subacute Field Effects on Human and Biological Tissue, and it's dated March 11, 2010. Classified information exists that's highly pertinent to the subject of this study, and only a small part of the classified literature has been released, the document states. Following these incidents, astronomer Jacques Vallée developed an alternative hypothesis that UFOs are part of the mechanism for controlling mankind. During his interview in 1986, he said that UFOs are a physical object that interacts with the environment and causes effects on the witness, on the psychology and physiology, and leaves traces on the ground, and yet are capable of appearing to be manipulating time and space in ways that go beyond what our physics understands. While working on the French Space Committee, Dr. Vallée claimed to have witnessed his superiors destroy tracking tapes of a UFO that his team had observed, and this, along with a personal UFO sighting several years earlier, created his long-time interest in UFOs. Initially falling in line with the extraterrestrial hypothesis, he soon began to realize its serious flaws. Namely, the unexplained close encounters are far more numerous than required for any physical survey of the Earth. The humanoid body structure of the alleged aliens is not likely to have originated on another planet and is not biologically adapted to space travel. The reported behavior in thousands of abduction reports contradicts the hypothesis of genetic or scientific experimentation on humans by an advanced race. The extension of the phenomenon throughout the recorded human history demonstrates that UFOs are not a contemporary phenomenon. The apparent ability of UFOs to manipulate space and time suggests radically different and richer alternatives. Published in 1975, The Invisible College, What a Group of Scientists Has Discovered About UFO Influences on the Human Race, was Jacques Vallée's fourth book on the puzzling UFO contactee phenomenon. That time, he first put forward his idea that these phenomena were some kind of control system on human consciousness. And according to Vallée, the basic idea is that UFOs are essentially a show put on for people to generate some sort of reaction and have been operating on human culture for all of recorded history. Dr. Vallée argued that when investigating a UFO encounter, the focus should be on the witness and how he or she interpreted the event and how it affected their life. He noted that many people tend to emotionally react to a UFO sighting as spiritual or a religious experience. ATIP's successor, the Advanced Aerospace Weapon System Application Program AWASP, is discussing in the recently released book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. The researchers describe how this phenomenon has been well documented with plenty of proof that it affects people in the book. The AAWSAP looked into reports of UFO sightings, examined reports of UFO encounters on U.S. military installations, and a number of odd occurrences that government investigators came across at Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. UFO encounters frequently led to the attaching, quote-unquote, of unusual phenomena to military troops who came to the ranch and brought something home. As a result, their families experienced terrifying paranormal outbreaks that scared and occasionally injured even their children. In evaluating Dr. Vallée's control system hypothesis, the obvious questions are, who or what is in charge and managing it? If something is non-human, then what? Where is the real evidence for this idea, other than that some of Vallée's carefully selected cases can be made with difficulty to force fit the theory? Most people care little about UFOs and have no interest in the subject. So how does this theory stand up? And this is on House and Wise by Vicky Verma. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.